In the US, many saw Putin's call as an admission of his limited capabilities, both on the battlefield and in diplomacy. On the front lines, the actions of the Russian army have essentially reached a dead end, and the losses keep mounting. Within the country itself, signs of economic crisis are becoming increasingly obvious. The fuel shortage and industrial decline are felt especially acutely. On top of that, there's the pressure of sanctions and rapidly shrinking budget reserves. Moreover, discontent is brewing even within Putin's own inner circle. Part of the elite has felt the consequences of the protracted war very keenly.
There's one rule in Russian propaganda: if Putin isn't winning, he simply disappears from view. That's one of the reasons why the Kremlin leader almost never visits the occupied territories of Ukraine. It's dangerous to underestimate Putin, but by attributing mythical qualities to him, the West sees the Kremlin chief as more powerful than he actually is. If Americans assessed Putin realistically, they would know that he is a dictator who has staked everything on the failure of the invasion. And Russia is a country with a rapidly cooling economy that is losing its spheres of influence. A realistic view of his power would deprive Putin of his main lever of influence, the sense of his own invincibility. From an article in The Atlantic magazine.
Most influential Western media outlets write that Russia no longer seems strong enough to dictate terms at the negotiating table. The country's military and economic resources are depleted. In other words, right now the West has the opportunity to speak to Moscow from a position of strength. After all, the arguments, including the supply of long-range systems, are there for this.
Trump often complained that ending the Russia-Ukraine war turned out to be much harder than he initially thought. But now, with the administration full of hope after its success in the Middle East, the situation might change. It's also important to consider that the war isn't going according to plan for Russia, whose economy is in decline. And at the same time, Moscow continues to lose thousands of lives without any visible results. From a political publication.